Mr. Davies, for time to reflect on your trip to Italy. Can you tell us what you learned?
Well, we were hugely disappointed that we let that game slip away. We were in complete control in that first half, but we had most of the possession. In the second half, we were a lot more inaccurate. We gave away some penalties which allowed them to kick to touch and use their driving maul, which they're very effective at. And really, quite frankly, we didn't front up without the ball. We've had time to reflect and look at the detail. We were very poor without the ball, and that's a huge disappointment for us because it was it's one of our main focuses, and it'll certainly be a focus for this weekend. Defence wins games, but we've got to be able to defend, and a couple of very soft tries. They got outside us on a shortened line out, which means you've got quite a few men in midfield, so that should never really happen, and they scored from that. So that was the big disappointment. In the second half we didn't front up, and I think that was a mentality thing, because in the first half we felt that's all we had to do is throw the ball around and score tries, and in the second half, when that wasn't the case, we failed really to deliver without the ball and front up.
Have you picked the bones area, Nigel, or have you just moved on?
It's pretty straightforward in terms of what we needed to do and where we needed to move to, and we've done that. Today's been quite a physical session, and as I said to the boys after the session, if they're prepared to do that to each other, then surely they can at least do that to the opposition.
Defence been a key part this week?
Yeah, it's been a big focus of ours all year, and as you'd probably be aware, it's probably the biggest part of our game that we've had to change from the last 2 years, so there's a lot that we need to do there, and some it wasn't that technical on the weekend. It was just fronting up and manning up, and we didn't do that, and that's an individual thing, it's a mindset thing, and again, we've told the group that historically we probably picked the team based on our ability with the ball. That won't no longer be the case. It'll be the ability of guys to defend as much as anything else, and we know we've got to get that right, and we know that's key to us. And historically, if you can keep sides down to below 15 points in the Magnus League, you win those games. We failed to do that.
Do you have a temptation now? You're obviously quite happy with your selection for that game. Do you have a temptation to bring in your big guns earlier than you wanted, or are you comfortable to go with the same? The whole squad was always good. The whole squad of fit players was always going to be available for this game. So the selection will take into account everybody for this game. I did preclude a couple of people from last week, but that was because of numerous reasons, of which I've mentioned, in terms of their the need for them to recover, to have a good pre-season, and realising that we've got 20 odd games left ahead of us, plus the Heineken Cup game. So the senior internationals aren't going to play in all our games. They don't play in all the games for any of the regions. It doesn't happen. We're back in our squad. We're back in the quality of our squad, and I've said this is the strongest squad that we've had for the last 2 seasons. Partly because we've given opportunities. Now everybody's got to front up, and in the first half, in fairness, those guys did front up, and certainly if you're talking about a couple of positions like outside half, these Prieston again had a very good game, and I think we're strong at hooker as well. We've got a lot of depth there now, so that wasn't particularly a factor in my view. However, we will be looking to select from everybody who's fit this weekend. So that means who is available then? Everybody, like Jones, Lyons?
Our whole squad, yeah.
Whole squad.
As long as they're fit.
Are they fit?
Yeah, the only one we've got a slight doubt about is David Lyons still with his hamstring, but I think he's going to be okay.
How would you describe his game against Connacht for the Scarlets?
Well, it's very important. We want to build momentum. We wanted to do that last week. The margin between a bonus point win and a loss was very fine, and that Martin Roberts over the line thing, that was the difference really, even though there was lots that we were disappointed with, particularly our second half performance, but those were the margins, and we would have been in a completely different place now. Connacht are a very good team, and they are. I'm not just saying that. When you look at their team, the game against the Dragons, they played very well, but this is our first home game of the season. It's really, from our point of view, we're very confident that we've progressed hugely from the last 2 seasons, and the only way we can actually show that is by going and winning this game and winning it well. And as I said, one of our aims has been to make this place ours, and that starts on Saturday.
You mentioned Hawke, you made a big stance on all form, Nigel. I mean,
yeah.
Obviously, Connacht, we expected to win. Is it important to put up a show, or is just the win not important?
Well, first and foremost, we have to win games. You know, and again, you know, maybe we've been guilty in the past of trying to win, playing pretty rugby. But we don't always do that. And you know, if we were able to shut shop out in Italy, then we would have won that game. But we weren't able to do that. So we've almost got to have a game that we can go to when we need to change the momentum in matches, and that was one of the things that happened in Italy. The momentum swung their way very quickly, and what we weren't able to do then was to react to that. And there was a couple of key moments where one of our players sort of put a speculative offload in. We hadn't had the ball for 10 minutes, we just pinched it back, and because of the offload they eventually scored. Another key moment was when we were just outside of 22, we kicked the ball dead rather than into touch, and there was acres of space to do that, which gave them a scrum, and from the reset scrum they scored another one of their tries. So there were key moments in the game that we got wrong, and we have to realise that when we haven't had the ball for 10 minutes, the momentum has swung. We need to do something differently than to just play in rugby, you know, which is what we want to do, and there's big parts of that in our game. It's just that we get the balance and the management of the game right.
So I'm saying Connacht have a history of frustrating sides as well, particularly when they
They can do, yeah, they can do, but we've got a good record here against them in recent past, and you know, they're a very capable side, and having watched them again against the Dragons, you know, we've got to give them credit for what they did there. But this season really is very much about us. I think we've spent too much time in the past looking at the opposition and worrying about them. It's about what we can bring, and as I said, the one thing we've got to do is bring a defensive game and muscle up, and that's the focus for this week.
You mentioned Martin Roberts earlier. How was that scrum half battle shaping up?
It's good, it's great, you know, and I think that, again, one of my points has been that we can only really be truly competitive when we have real competition for places right throughout our squad. I'd say in 90% of our positions we've got that now, and certainly scrum half is one of them. And you know, you can look behind those two as well. We've got Gareth Davies, who is really showing promising signs. We had a great game for the RFC on the weekend, and also our lid. So in that position we're extremely strong.
Because they're both still down there, Martin and different types of players as well.
They are, yeah, and it's good to have that balance. You know, they both bring different things. And you know, Tav obviously toured with Wales in the summer, but there's no guarantees here, you know, and that's one of the good things about having this squad now, is that on the training field it's very competitive, and that just raises the bar throughout, and the players know that if they drop off the standard, we've actually got options now. And that will, you know, certainly there'll be certain selection issues going into this weekend where players won't be picked, and they'll be expected to go down to the Premiership because they didn't come up to standard, and they realise they've got to front up. It's as simple as that.
Have you had the reaction you wanted, Nigel, from the players this week?
At the moment I have, yeah. I'll tell you on Saturday afternoon, Saturday night. Yeah.
But is there a sense of, there must be a sense of hurt there, because they would have gone over there confident they would have got a win, and you kind of, it's like a kick up the arse in lots of ways.
Yeah, it is. It is definitely, you know, and I think we're starting to see as well the strength of Matthew Rees in terms of the captaincy, because he laid into them today, and that's exactly what I'd expect from Matthew, really. And you know, I'm sure he'll be involved on the weekend, and he'll demand that from everybody.
The one highlight you would have picked out would have been the performance of your teenager.
Yeah.
What have you got there, and what do you think Welsh rugby's got there?
Yeah, he's highly promising. I think you look at the two tries he took. It was textbook rugby, really, in terms of his ball transfer and his balance. It was superb, and he's certainly got a big future. Having said that, you know, there's still a lot to work on, and you know, defensively, there's a lot of work there. But he's 18. Physically, he's, you know, more than able to compete at the level. He's got a clear head on him. He's a good pro, even at 18. He wants to learn. He works hard on his extras. The sky's the limit for him, really.
Adrenaline would have got him through on Saturday because of the day and all that kind of stuff. I suppose the test will be if he can consistently deliver that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
I'm not saying 2 tries every game, but up to
yeah,
performance level.
Yeah, quite possibly. But you know, I think I've certainly seen enough in the last 3 months in terms of what he brings to training. He turns up there every time. I say well prepared, and part of the requirement of being a professional rugby player is that you look after yourself away from the rugby environment as much as anything else, and he does that, and he's in great nick. You know, he's, as I say, we have no reason to believe that there's any boundaries really on how far he can go.
Where do you see him ending up as a player? Wing, centre?
Well, he can play 13 as well. He can play wing, and you know, the way I'm looking at a winger is that the skill set of a winger is very similar to a 15 full-back, so he could potentially play full-back as well. And you know, we might see some of those options in the near future in terms of our back three. And it's one area that's going very well for us at the moment is our counter-attack. And we've got good options there, you know, particularly with Sean Lamont coming back, Andy Fenby, you know, playing well now, George North, Lee Williams, Joe Joa. So you know, we're really starting to build some strength and depth there that we haven't had for a long time.
Is Morgan okay, Nigel?
Yeah, he's struggling a little bit. He's not 100% right, you know, and we suspected he may have these problems because it's the first time he's trained with any intensity. He's not right, and we'll probably look to rest him for a couple of weeks now, and hopefully then after that period he'll be right to go again.
Can I just ask you, so Gavin Cornell's played 2 games now,
yeah.
semi-pro level. What's the position with him in terms of
and again, I'm really delighted with Gav in terms of his progression. He's lost something like 16 kilograms. He looks great, yeah, he looks trim, 16 kgs already. We're not going to rush Gav back at this moment in time. We don't put any pressure on him. He put in a great first half performance here on the weekend. And you know, he needs to build his confidence there before coming up to our level. But you know, when it does happen, I suspect it'll happen very quickly. But at this moment in time, he's in exactly the right place in terms of his development, and we don't need to push him either.
Where do you see him as a player for the Scarlets?
Probably second row, with the ability to go in the back row, because we've got strong back row at the moment as well.
There's no question about his desire to come here. How do you see that in terms of what he wants to bring to this place? Because obviously that name that he carries on his back.
It's a burden. It's a burden. It is a real burden. And you know, I've told Gav it's about him being himself now, and he is very much his own man. You know, it's unfortunately it's other people that put that burden on him, and understandably so, I suppose. But I want Gav to feel relaxed here and be comfortable. We're not putting any pressure on him at this stage. You know, he's one of the players that we've done this with several players over the last couple of years, where we've brought in to invest in them, and ultimately they will come through for us. You know, we're a long way down the road with that process with a few of our players, and we're now going to front up. But Gav isn't at that stage yet, and you know, we're still mindful of the development that Gav needs.
When he first played, he was very raw. Have you seen a change? Because he went to Worcester and kind of scoring tries for fun in his first season, then it appears to have got lost a bit. But have you seen a change in that from what you would have seen originally?
Well, he's a lot more worldly wise, you know, having gone to places like Worcester, having gone over to Italy. You know, he's certainly more mature as a boy than I initially remember him. You know, he's very keen to do well. He absolutely is keen to do well. But he realises that he's not ready yet for our stage, you know, because there's a lot of expectation on him, and people will expect a lot from him. So when he does come back, he's got to be comfortable that he's in the right place, and we've got to be comfortable that he's in the right place as well. So you know, he's a little while off yet, but you know, he's got to keep his form going with the RFC, and we'll take it step by step really. But we have hopes for him. Yeah.